before delving into the past and building up to the current day, which is vital to this short story. I think it appropriate to set the scene for Beth's current family structure, as they play an incredibly important role in this story and to me. Beth is married to David, and they have two incredible daughters, Sarah the eldest and Maxine the youngest, all of whom are brothers such as me can be incredibly proud of. Beth is 5 years my senior, and we have another older brother, Thomas, 7 years my senior. We were brought up in a loving, caring family in the then middle-class suburb of Padstow in southwest Sydney. Our parents worked very hard to ensure that we wanted for very little. We were by no means wealthy, but lived a comfortable life. Food was always on the table, clothes on our backs, and whilst the house was modest, it was comfortable and warm in winter and cool in summer thanks to a pool that our father had built by hand from scratch. Sibling rivalry was every present, and unfortunately being the middle child, and the only girl, Beth did bear the brunt of the antics of Thomas and myself. Beth had a love of the Bay City rollers and sherbet, and I remember at one point Thomas and I throwing darts at a poster on our wall and drawing faces over Daryl Braithwaite. But Beth could give back as good as she gave, most of which was directed at me being the youngest, and I was often the subject of either verbal or physical abuse until Thomas stepped in to save the day. This would all change when it came to school, but we will get to that. I make it sound more sinister than it actually was, as the good times far outweighed the bad, particularly around the pool, and the Christmases we were out of this world, the only downside being dragged to church. Mom and Dad were sort of religious, but Thomas, Beth and I were certainly not, and never became that way through our lives. One of many things I remember mostly about our upbringing was our annual holidays, to firstly Shoal Bay, then neighboring Nelson's Bay on the northern coast of NSW every January. What a treat they were in such good times, swimming, fishing, skiing, and our father each year would build speed boat-shaped sandcastles, which were spectacular and the envy of all other beachgoers. Our family were all sports mad, not so much me. Our parents were avid tennis players, as was Beth, who was also an exceptional runner, and Thomas would excel at any sport he touched. I played tennis too, but was simply out of their league, but I could swim and run at least. Sports on weekends and at times on weeknights to a large extent dominated our lives, with trophies galore adorning the house. Even in later years, our parents were avid lawn bowlers, and very good at it too. School came next. Thomas was already well ahead of us in years. So it was really Beth and I left to own devices. Two major things come to mind. Mom had gone back to work, so it was up to Beth to look after me until my school started. I distinctly remember being with Beth and her friends, and I would run around pulling up their dresses. They screamed but secretly loved it. The other major thing was when we went to high school, me in my first year, and Beth in her final year. I got picked on because I was only small, but Beth stepped in protect, and if I recall, she bashed one of my teasers one day. It then became known school-wide to leave me alone, or you would be dicing with death with Beth. Shit literally hit the fan late that year, with my father being transferred to Melbourne, as the Sydney operation was to be closed. Thomas refused to move, as by now he was old enough to make those decisions. Beth and I reluctantly moved. I settled into a new school but became a rebel for a while, and Beth went into nursing, which ultimately didn't suit, as they gave her all the shitty jobs, including the spinal ward, as I recall, and left to join the bank. By this time, I was doing my VC and did well, but didn't want university, so I too joined the bank as well. Our parents treated us to another holiday to Nelson's Bay, which would be our last. Shit was to hit the fan again, and Beth decided to follow a friend and move to Surfer's Paradise, leaving me absolutely bereft, shattered, and all on my own. A seriously poor time in life. Now, because this is a short story, you will notice I have glossed hurriedly over our past. Obviously, there was a lot more to it than that. Likewise, I am going to skip quite a large number of years to work more toward the present, as after all this is a story more about the recent times of Beth and myself. Apart from saying I went on to have several successful careers, as did Beth and Thomas, and I had two children of my own, being Annie and Hayden, but unfortunately, these years were marked by both failed and successful marriages for Beth and Thomas, and I came out as gay. Unfortunately, these years also saw the sad demise of both our beloved parents. Beth and I, where do I start other than to say she has been my rock, particularly when I have done some stupid things, had one bad male relationship and another long-term one that turned a bit sour, and saw me try and work in a high-power job and try to be a carer to a partner with ailing health, who has sadly subsequently passed away. Beth has always been there for me, lifted me up in times of serious depression, kept me going, brought a smile to my face, and David, Sarah, and Maxine the same. Beth has always been generous with her time and recently has helped me out in times of financial struggle, but has always allowed me to maintain my dignity and independence. I had a workplace injury over 3 years now that meant I could barely walk, but Beth was always there to take me to appointments, take me shopping, and even do my housework. I have subsequently had other issues affecting both shoulders and hips, meaning I can no longer work, drive, have to walk with a walker, regularly in a lot of pain, but Beth and her family remain steadfast. Beth is my rock whom life would not be worth living without. The end.